The Rachel Maddow show that night was expected to feature a mix of politics and culture, as usual, but few anticipated the controversy that would erupt from one segment. Karoline Leavitt, the former White House staffer under President Trump and now a vocal conservative commentator, had been invited for a rare appearance on MSNBC, a network not exactly known for featuring right-leaning voices in its primetime slots. The idea, as explained by Maddow's producers, was to have a bridge-the-gap conversation, one that would show two smart people from opposing political worlds discussing the future of America, especially with younger generations increasingly tuned into political discourse. Karoline arrived at the studio prepared, well-rehearsed, and confident, aware that she was stepping into a room that didn't necessarily share her worldview. She wore a simple blue dress, a blazer, and a silver cross necklace, the same one she's worn on dozens of appearances. But this time, it wouldn't go unnoticed. From the moment Karoline sat across from Rachel, there was a tension in the room, not overt, but definitely present. Rachel opened with cordial remarks, complimenting Karoline's youth and engagement in the political process, joking that most 20-somethings are streaming reality shows, not running for Congress. Karoline laughed and agreed, using the moment to explain how she got involved in politics and why conservative values appealed to her generation more than mainstream media believed. For the first 10 minutes, things were relatively smooth, with some polite disagreements over tax reform, education policy, and media coverage. Karoline defended her positions firmly but respectfully. Rachel, as always, was analytical, digging for contradictions or holes in her guests' arguments. But then, about halfway through the segment, things shifted. Rachel pivoted to a topic on religious freedom, referencing recent debates over prayer in public schools and the display of religious symbols in government settings. There's been a lot of controversy around what some call the re-Christianization of public space, she said, and people feel very strongly about it on both sides. You've talked about your faith publicly. Do you see religion as something private or something that should be visible? And by that I mean politically visible. Karoline didn't hesitate. I think faith is deeply personal, but it also naturally influences public life. For me, wearing this, she said, touching the small silver cross on her chest, isn't political. It's just who I am. I'm not here to proselytize. I'm here to be honest about what guides my conscience. Rachel gave a tight smile. Some might say that's a strong visual symbol for a show that strives to avoid ideological performance. Karoline leaned slightly forward. So if I were wearing a Planned Parenthood pin or a rainbow flag, would that be seen as too ideological for this space? Rachel responded, it's different when the symbol has historically dominated public spaces and others feel pushed out. That's where sensitivity comes in. Karoline didn't flinch, so the answer is no. Those symbols are okay because they align with your view of inclusion. But a cross, which represents faith to billions of people, makes this space feel uncomfortable. The audience, usually supportive of Maddow, was quieter now. Rachel's tone sharpened a bit. It's not about comfort, it's about neutrality. We invite people to discuss ideas, not to promote religious identity. Karoline raised an eyebrow. You invited me. That includes my identity. You don't get to edit me to fit the set. The tension reached a peak when Rachel asked if Karoline believed America was fundamentally a Christian nation. The founders believed in a creator, Karoline said. And while we have religious freedom, there's no denying that Christian values shape this country's legal and moral frameworks. That doesn't mean others aren't welcome. It just means we shouldn't be afraid to acknowledge our roots. Rachel countered that the Constitution deliberately avoided establishing any religion, to which Karoline replied, Yes, to prevent a state-enforced religion, not to erase all expressions of faith from public view. The back and forth was intense, but civil. Then came the unexpected turn. Rachel, visibly irritated, said, "We didn't bring you on to preach, Karoline." That remark hung in the air. Karoline sat back and calmly said, "I haven't quoted scripture once. I haven't prayed on your desk. I answered your questions. But it seems the real issue isn't what I said. It's what I'm wearing." She gestured again, toward her cross. "That's what's bothering people. And that's deeply troubling." The producer, now appearing on set and whispering into Maddow's earpiece, caused a visible reaction. Rachel paused, looked directly at Karoline, and then said something that would soon go viral. "We're going to end this segment early. We have a policy about overt symbols, and we're going to honor that. Thank you for your time." Karoline stared for a beat, and then, without raising her voice, said, "You're not ending the conversation. You're censoring it." She took off her mic, stood, and walked calmly off the set as the audience sat in stunned silence. The fallout was immediate. By the time the show wrapped, clips of the exchange had flooded social media. Headlines ranged from "Leavitt ejected over religious symbol" to "Maddow enforces secular space, sparks backlash." The clip of Karoline walking off with the, to quote, "You're not ending the conversation. You're censoring it," quickly amassed millions of views. Hashtags like "wearing the cross" and "let faith speak" exploded across platforms. Conservatives called it an example of institutional hostility toward Christianity. Liberals were divided. Some defended Maddow's studio policies. Others felt it went too far. Even politically neutral commentators said the optics were at the very least a bad look. By the next morning, Leavitt appeared on several major conservative platforms, calmly recounting the experience. This wasn't about policy. This wasn't even about debate. This was about a necklace, she said on one broadcast. If a cross offends a news anchor, what does that say about how far we've drifted from true tolerance? Her team released no official press statement. They didn't need to. Her calm demeanor and refusal to escalate spoke louder than outrage could have. Religious leaders across denominations chimed in. Catholic bishops issued statements. Evangelical influencers posted messages of support. Even some Muslim and Jewish leaders expressed concern about selective inclusivity in progressive spaces. Rachel Maddow responded that evening during her next show. "Let me be clear," she said. "We did not remove a guest for being a person of faith. We ended a segment early based on an internal guideline about maintaining visual neutrality in our interviews. If that decision caused offense, I accept that criticism." But the criticism continued. The episode ignited a national conversation, not just about faith in public spaces, but about who gets to define neutrality, and whether symbols of belief are being unfairly reclassified as acts of aggression. Leavitt's cross, a small silver pendant she'd worn countless times before, had unintentionally become the symbol of a larger cultural and ideological clash. In the days that followed, donations to Leavitt's Political Action Committee spiked. Youth Christian organizations used the incident as a case study in seminars. "You don't need to shout," one video said. "You just need to stand." Meanwhile, Maddow's producers quietly revised future guest guidelines, though they never formally admitted fault. A leaked memo later revealed internal concern that the move might have damaged the credibility of moderate and faith-friendly audiences. Whether intended or not, the Maddow-Leavitt moment marked a pivotal cultural turning point, one where the lines between faith, politics, media, and public identity blurred more than ever before.